What's up, Daniel? Nice to see you again. Oh, I think you're muted.
I don't want to be recorded. The post office has enough pictures of me up on their walls.
Employee of the month, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. How's the week going?
Well, it's sort of been a crazy week so far.
How so?
Um, my wife fell and broke her foot,
Oh,
and then so she's been running around on an office chair, skidding around the house. She hates being
like in one
dependent on
place?
anybody. Yeah.
Mm. That one. I'm very sorry that happened too. Dang, she's a strong woman then. Still riding about.
Yep. She keeps me in shape.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. How long you guys been married for?
32 years.
Wow, it's a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just seems like yesterday, though. I mean, when we first started dating, I mean, it all started all by a car accident.
Oh, really? Did you what do you mean? Did she hit you or you hit her?
Well, when I moved out here to Arkansas from New York, I
Yeah.
never drove. I mean,
Mm,
had cabs and buses and trains, and living
exactly.
in the city for a long time, and came out here to Arkansas and found out really needed a car to get around. So I finally, at the age of, I don't even remember, at age of 30 or 35 years old,
Yeah.
I had to find somebody to teach me how to drive because,
Yeah.
I ended up with a high school teacher that taught me how to drive. So I'm learning, I got my first vehicle and took it out for my first spin, and backing out of a parking lot, a grocery store parking lot, backed right into her car.
Oh,
And at that time, I was a manager at a fiberglass plant, and her body of her car was fiberglass. I says, well, listen, follow me over to the fiberglass plant, and I'll have my guys knock it out for you and touch it up. And, you would never notice, you ever had an accident. And while the guys were working on it, she and I were talking for a while, took her out to dinner, and 3.5 months later, we got married.
and then 32 years later, still married.
Yeah. And still
Wow,
very happy with her.
that's awesome, actually. That's such a like a coincidence moment, like something that happened in a movie or something.
You all married, or are you still
Oh no,
single?
I have a girlfriend. I'm too young to get married right now.
That's what they all say.
I
Down
mean,
here in Arkansas, people get married at 15, 16 years of age. So
yeah. Well, I'm Asian. We married a lot later, into like our lives.
gotcha.
Yeah, I know a lot of my friends they married like now already. They're like 24, they're married. I think it's a good age. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. All right. Well, today I was gonna go over like the you said last time you were working a lot on like the fraud and everything. So I
Hmm.
thought today was gonna be a fun day. So I went over I put together a presentation on like the different scams, the online scams that happened and frauds that were happening a couple years ago. Like the Silk Road, a couple of hacks and stuff like that. Thought that'd be something fun to just go over and chat about. That's awesome. A chill day.
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that I've just been been studying a lot about is the fraud with computer support.
Oh, really? Let's see.
That is
Into
a big issue.
Yeah, yeah. And they're getting wiser every day. Let's see. Um, I know one thing I also liked recently is I just like reading into these I'm a fan of reading into these different like hacks and scams because it's like it's really cool. Not obviously the scamming someone is obviously not cool, but like you gotta admit the genius behind it, where like they're able to set it up with the technology and like the social manipulation. It's kind of genius at the same time, not for the right reason.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I work with AARP on a regular basis. And what's the worst part about it is a lot of these fraudsters hit folks in their retirement and wipe out their entire
Yeah,
life savings. And I read the stories and it hurts me and
it does.
tremendously.
Yeah, like I had to service some of our customers who like they only had like one. I think once it was a tech support scam actually too, and like it was crazy how like it was one sweep. Usually it's like a romance scam or like a tech support scam, and like some screen shows up, and then they click on something, and then like at that point it's kind of over, you know. So yeah, so today I was doing research on like have you heard of like the Silk Road um dark market place?
N-
Have you heard of these guys
No,
before?
no,
No. Oh wow. Okay. So yeah. So pretty much this one I was doing research the other day on it. I thought it was super interesting actually because I know you're trying to build a platform right now, and it's kind of like I guess a young person building a platform as well. But pretty much the Silk Road incident happened around 2011. It was this guy. His name was like Ross Urbich, and pretty much how it happened was like this guy grew up in a very like conservative household, very like he grew up as like a Boy Scout, and everything was good. Like he was like a straight A student, went to church every Sunday. Everything was good. Like he was a good kid. Um, but like by the time he got to high school into college, he learned about like what's it called? So let me reel back. So the Silk Road was pretty much a dark web marketplace back in 2011 that allowed people to anonymously buy anything from anyone, you know. So that led to the creation of like selling illegal drugs, selling weed, selling marijuana, selling like all sorts of stuff, pretty much anything you want anonymously with that like he made it a very untrackable to anybody online. So this guy grew up in a very normal household, normal family, loving family. But I think once the story behind this was when once he went to college, um, when he went to college, he learned about like libertarianism, what do be the ability to do whatever he wants. So this eventually inspired him to create a website where he didn't like how the government was tracking and limiting what you can or cannot sell online. So what he created was
your
this
slides,
site.
your slides disappeared.
Oh, hold up. Oh, that's weird. Give me a sec. Let me put this over here. This again. Share. Share. You see my screen now? Okay, yeah. So pretty much the rundown was when he was in college. He learned about like the free will movement. So he created a site, and the way he did it was he's like, yeah, I don't like how the government tracks us. I don't like how the government limits us what we can or can't buy. So he decided to build this site on the dark web. Um, More or less he used so his goal was to create a site that it was nearly untrackable of when you were like gonna go buy something. So he used are you familiar with the Tor network? So I think so I looked in a little bit of the Tor network. I think it's a network used to build a lot of sites on the dark web. So one, to keep yourself anonymous as well. But what in order to further increase the anonymity, he used exchange at the time for Bitcoin. Now Bitcoin you can track back to your wallet, you know, it has different sites. But back in the day, um, he used Bitcoin and this site to ensure that anybody who's selling any drugs, illegal substance, or anything online cannot be tracked back to who the seller was. And at that time, that was a crazy thing because it was somewhat illegal, you know. Let's see. So the way it happened was, initially it started off as just him, but eventually he started selling like mushrooms, and then like the dark market and like drug dealers and all these like, you know, folks start finding out how like secure and anonymous this was. So people start hopping on, and it grew like to like a huge amount actually. I think during 2011, um, I think by the end of his time, he was able like the amount of money that was exchanged on this platform was like $1.2 billion like of illegal money exchanged on this website. So it was very crazy. So the way he kind of like kept it kind of secure was he had escrow servers to make sure like both parties' transactions were like exceptionally clear. It's pretty much drug dealing, but scaled up to like a website. Let's see. Um, so what made it really like genius, in my opinion, was like how he was like able to deceive the government just using through the dark web and Bitcoin. I don't think this will pass nowadays because I think the government has placed more restrictions on these things using Bitcoin, and using different networks on the dark web. Um, I honestly need to research a little bit more about the Tor, but I think that's still pretty interesting about the anonymous like nature of this like these platforms. Let's see. So the way it ended. So this guy, I think it ended around like 2013. Um, I think he was eventually caught. Um, I think he had like a life sentence or something around like 2013, sent a life sentence. 1.2 billion dollars in sales during that time. It was honestly it was just one crazy one like it just showed how
He got 2 life sentences
two life sentences.
and without parole.
Well, that's crazy. That is crazy
And
though.
then it turned out that my understanding is some of the people that were helping him
Yeah.
reopened the site again in 2015.
Oh, really? I didn't know that part. So I'm actually so on this topic I'm actually a bit not conflicted. I'm actually curious to know your opinion on too. So he was the guy that created the site, and I guess he continued it. So like I guess partially like I see the fault in him as well, but at the same time I was like he was like the platform. He didn't choose to facilitate the drug. I guess he did. All right, you know what?
He opened up a marketplace for
Yeah,
people to freely exchange whatever products they wanted to exchange, and his site just handled
drug
the
dealings.
transaction. Yeah, well, it wasn't primarily drug deals; it was any sort of deal.
Yeah, anything, but like it mainly was used by more legal stuff.
Right. But I mean,
So
from what I understand, they had things like they would sell guns, and somebody even said at one point they had somebody who was selling TNT, dynamite.
yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, I mean, I see the point where like he kind of is the facilitator, but at the same time, he's like, it's just a marketplace, you know. It should be somewhere he's like in the contract say I'm not liable for this, but I guess
He probably did have that in his contract, but you know, uh, the government said, "Hey, you're facilitating, you're involved in the transaction. I don't care what your contract or agreement of understanding with your sellers are, but you can't do this."
yeah, yeah. I guess he had multiple opportunities to shut it down, but he didn't. So I guess he is I guess at some point be liable for that. But I honestly thought this was really interesting. Like I actually looked up the way he first got like you know how like when he first started, and I found out how he first got his couple customers, like first couple users to the site. The way he did it was really genius, honestly, in terms of marketing. So he didn't obviously he couldn't run ads on the top on like the platform, right? You obviously can't run ads like, hey, go to this, you can sell whatever you want. So the way he did it was he pretended to be like I think like a different person online and then started talking about us. Hey guys, have you seen this? I've been using this, and like it lets me do this and this and this. So he pretended to be a different person. He pretended to be a user, not the creator, and then facilitate discussion to draw people to the site. So I thought that was genius on his part of how like to get the first couple of customers going through. Let's see. Yeah, no, I mean this is still pretty ingenious at the time. You wouldn't expect like the idea of having a platform that you can sell whatever you want wasn't like something you expect to be created. That's like, oh yeah, you can do that. But then you realize the restricting laws that are out there really restrict that idea in itself. I don't know. I think that's super cool.
Well, think about Amazon. Amazon did the same sort of thing. I mean, Amazon offered books, to the general public, and next thing you know, they were selling other products. I mean, it was basically a whole copy of what this guy did.
Yeah, except besides the anonymous like aspect and using Bitcoin. I don't know.
But 70, and the worst part about it is he had over at one point almost 10,000 products that he was selling,
Yeah, yeah,
and but 70% of it were drug related, amphetamines.
That is. How did the one thing I'm surprised about is how did the government let it run so long until like it got to like this amount of sales before like they're like, all right, we should probably shut this down. You know?
Well, I mean, in the very beginning in 2011, I mean, the government was the whole internet thing and the whole website thing was all new. I mean, they really
Yeah.
didn't have a cybersecurity, division of the FBI.
Oh, that is true. That's true. Yeah. That is still pretty like astounding to me. Maybe they didn't pay their taxes enough.
Yeah, but with Bitcoin at that point, I mean, with how unregulated it was, that was probably indeed a, a situation.
Yeah, yeah, like yeah. We can't collect taxes from this. So I gotta shut it down real quick. So I don't think you can actually collect taxes if you're ever already now you can, you have to for like any like crypto exchange. But I think back then I don't think they had like the tax regulations on Bitcoin
Well,
because it was just super anonymous who you
right.
gonna pull the taxes from.
Okay. All right. But there was, believe it or not, though, Silk Road was not the first site that did this.
Yeah.
There was another site called the Farmers Market that did the same thing,
Mm, mm.
except Farmers Market didn't use Bitcoin.
Oh, okay. What did they use?
Um, PayPal and Western Union.
Oh, I see. All right. Interesting. All
It's
right.
something to add to itself.
Interesting. All right. Well, moving on to the next one. I mean, speaking of Bitcoin, have you ever heard of the Mount Gox heist before? Or have you heard of Mount Gox before?
No.
Okay. So the Mount Gox at the time, I think it was during 2014. I think they were one of the biggest Bitcoin exchanges at that time.
By the way, go
Uh,
back one slide. Did you do a typo there?
oh, Biocoin, Bitcoin. Oh, that's supposed to be Bitcoin.
Okay.
Oh,
I just
I'm sorry. It was Bitcoin. Yeah, I wrote this a little bit late last night.
no problem.
All right. So, the Mount Gox originally, one thing I also found interesting is how a lot of times when people created a product or like a platform, it always turns out to be something else. Because like the Mount Gox originally, it was to be like a trading card platform to trade like different like cards, like the Magic the Gathering cards. But eventually, like he just repurposed it to become like a Bitcoin exchange. Eventually, it was just traded out to like this guy named Mark Capilis. But during that time, I think this was like probably one of the biggest like exchanges at that time. It kept about 70% of the transactions. If that were to be today, that would be like a huge amount of transactions per one platform. That would be a monopoly in the Bitcoin, like the Bitcoin world. Are you into Bitcoin?
No.
Have you no?
I've heard of it, but never really got involved. I mean, friends of mine wanted me to get involved, but I never did.
Why not?
I just thought there was too much risk. I
Hmm.
mean, I mean, my background was in Wall Street, and to me, stocks and bonds, it's a piece of tangible
Mm-hmm.
paperwork that you know you could trust. With Bitcoin, it was just too much electronics, and
Too much fluctuation, too volatile.
yeah,
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I understand the whole Bitcoin thing and everything. Like, I mean, I used to work in they call it Web3. So I used to build tech in like the blockchain and stuff like that. So I thought Bitcoin was cool, but I think right now I know like it's becoming like an exchange, but I haven't seen a lot of companies and like platforms using Bitcoin as a way to like as a currency. Obviously the goal of like all these cryptocurrency as supposed to be a currency, but now it starts to feel more like an asset and like a investment rather than a currency itself. So it's kind of defeats the whole purpose of like the blockchain and then having an exchange to actually like exchange money. Because I mean, you don't go out to like Walmart or Fry's and like, hey, I'll buy this for like 2 bit like 0.1 Bitcoin or something like that. I don't know. It feels like it got really off track of what it originally was supposed to be.
well, it really wasn't designed to. Where's my microphone? it really was designed for businesses to do international commerce.
Hmm.
I mean, rather than having to worry about exchanging dollars for yen or dollars for lire or dollars for pounds,
Yeah.
you do your transaction in bitcoins, and it's pass bitcoins back and forth, and you didn't have to worry about what is the current exchange rate and stuff like that. So I mean, it was a very great way to do commerce.
Yeah. I mean, even still today, I mean, I think for international, no, because like, you can still buy stuff online just from the exchange itself, from like dollars to like yen or stuff like that. Because I still don't see a lot of like commerce use Bitcoin for like the
I
payments.
when I was in the brokerage, when I was well, it was actually when I was at Axiom, we were doing a lot of transactions using bitcoins
Oh, really?
with our international, rather than having to deal with fluctuation and stuff like that. We do a contract. We'd say, okay, you can give us $1 million, or you can give us X amount of bitcoins. At that point, there
Mhm.
was only really one supplier of bitcoins. Now you
Yeah,
have all the different
exchanges. Yeah.
exchanges. So a lot, I know Axiom is going back to dollars and cents. So
Yeah. I mean, now like I think Bitcoin's around like what, $66,000 per coin.
mhm.
Yeah. I mean, it fluctuates like crazy. I mean, I still remember that one time because I was there when I was working on like my Web3 when Bitcoin fell to like 15K, I think. I think that was like 2022-ish. And that was crazy, honest, because what Bitcoin around that time was like worth 100. It was worth really high and dropped like significantly like low.
So you get paid in Bitcoin from Helpy Tech, right?
I don't think most of our customers know how to buy Bitcoin and pay us a Bitcoin. I don't know. It's actually when I first used it, it was actually really complicated actually to get Bitcoin, and actually use Bitcoin. Because I do have some Bitcoin for myself right now, but like what like I've been, it's more like an investment asset than anything, rather than like I'm gonna use this to spend on stuff, kind of just made it kind of obsolete there. But these guys, well, speaking of these guys, they got hacked. So I think it was around 2021. They didn't make their exchange as secure as it thought it should. So there was like a lot of vulnerabilities because I think it was the repurposing. And the guy that bought it didn't bother to check the securities. And so I think a group of like hackers, they weren't sure it was like an inside job or like an outside job that leaked the information. But like someone stole about 80,000 Bitcoins during that time. I think 80,000 Bitcoins, I think during that time was each Bitcoin was around like 500 to $700. And I think that goes up to that makes the amount about a couple $1 million, like 400 something $1 million. See, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people lost their Bitcoin on this case too. So to like people couldn't make transactions, people couldn't, exchange their Bitcoins, and at that point, like they filed for bankruptcy pretty much. It's crazy how some of these like huge monopolies in a time, like let's say for example, like Mount Gox, they're like the biggest monopoly on Bitcoin and exchange, and then just one hack just wiped them out. Like it's insane. Let's see. So yeah, about like 850 thousand Bitcoins were approximately lost. That's about like $450 million. I think if that amount was lost today, that would be like astronomical how much that amount would be actually. I'm actually curious how much that amount would be right now because I think that goes into like the billions. But yeah, no, I guess a certain group of people own about that much of Bitcoin right now because I mean it was definitely stolen. Let's see, 50000 times six.
I'm putting it in. Matter of fact, right as you're talking, I'm putting that into Chat GBT just to see what that would be equivalent of.
Today.
Yeah.
It's 5.6 with 10 decimal places. I think
Oh,
that's
okay.
like That's like $51 billion. That's insane amount of money right there. Because I don't think at the time people knew how big Bitcoin was gonna be, like how much it would be worth today. I mean, maybe people knew, but like that spiked, and from like I think around 2014 to 2017, that spike of like going from $800 a piece to like 30K, 40K a piece was insane. So yeah, I mean, when you were working at Axel, have you like, and during your time, have you seen any like interesting scams that happen like this big on this scale?
No, not that I can remember, but I'll tell you a very funny story if you like one, a good
Yeah,
one.
let's hear it.
I was working at a brokerage. I was working for Drexel Burnham Lambert,
Yeah,
and I worked late. I was in the securities and IT processing area,
yeah,
and I get a phone call from the front desk telling me that Brinks, which was a security company, armored car company,
yeah.
was at the front desk, and that I needed to come out. And I'm like, okay, so I was the only senior administrator around, so I came
Yeah.
out, and there were two armed guards there with a laundry cart,
What?
a big rolling,
Yeah.
6 foot wide, foot long, 4 foot wide laundry cart with a
Yeah.
wooden top on it. And I'm like, okay, uh, I never seen laundry being delivered with armed guards, but
Yeah.
okay, that will be a first. So I come out and the Brinks guy gives me paperwork and he says, "This is a money transaction that needed to be here by Friday." I'm like, okay, the safe, the vault's locked, and I can't, have there's no way I can place to put this. So I
Yeah.
called our head cashier. He said, "Oh my word," he says, "you can't send it back. We need that money for a transaction tomorrow."
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, okay.
This was
And
cash?
so I at that point I didn't know what it was. I eventually broke the seals on the wooden cover and
Yeah.
looked inside. It was $100 million worth of yen,
Like actual paper yen?
paper yen.
Wow. Jeez
This
Louise.
this Oriental fellow wanted to do this. We were buying his business, and he did not trust the banking system, so he wanted a physical delivery of 100 million yen.
Wow. That's
And
crazy.
yeah, so I ended up sleeping with the laundry basket and one of my security guards in a locked room inside the building overnight.
How does it feel to hug 100 million yen to go to sleep?
And well, the worst part about it is the next morning, the cashier, the head cashier got there at 7 a.m. in the morning because the fact I broke the seal meant we had to physically count the whole 100 million yen to make sure that
Wow.
not a penny was missing.
Wow. So wait, so did you had to open the seal or you could have just left it
I
without?
had open seal. I didn't know what was inside. I didn't say it just said currency. I had no clue what it was, so I broke the seal, opened it up.
Mm.
I would have had to have done it anyway. I mean, one of our wonderful geniuses thought of a great idea. Why don't you do this? Why don't we, just there's a pass through. Sometimes people forget they have securities on their desks and the vault is
Yeah.
locked. So we had like a night teller type thing. You could
Yeah.
open, put currency in, and one of our really bright senior cashiers said, "Well, why don't you take them out in bundles, pass it through the thing?" I said, "We'd be here all night, doing that." And then you have literally 100 million yen on the floor in the vault.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wow. I don't know. So it was like a 6 foot by 4 block of money.
yeah,
Wow. You don't see that every day.
No.
It's like in the
Uh,
movies.
yeah. And I was hoping I never would see one again. So,
I mean, let's see. I mean, hopefully, if you were to see one again, it would be for a good reason.
well, the next time I saw one, well, I didn't see it that big, but I had, I think it was $5 million worth of gold bullion was brought into us. But fortunately for me, the safe was open.
Ah, you don't have to sleep with 5 million.
Uh,
All right, I'm gonna keep going then.
yeah, I'm sorry.
No worries. That was a pretty interesting story. I wouldn't expect like everyone's dreams to hug some money before they go to sleep. Now you gotta have the opportunity to hug 100 million yen to go to sleep.
We had brokers who, they would want. I had one broker ask me for, I think it was $10,000 worth of dollar bills.
Why?
He decided to spread it all over his bed when he and his wife got married, and they slept under $10,001 bills in their honeymoon suite.
That would feel very uncomfortable in my opinion. I don't
Well,
know.
it was on top. I mean, it was like, you had your sheets, and then you had your blanket, and they had it on top of the blanket.
Oh, so they lay under the blanket.
Yeah.
I don't know what went down there, but like I don't know. Laying on money just doesn't feel right because the smell of money is kind of strong. I'm not about to sleep on like some money. So the next one I was researching yesterday. Have you heard of the Ashley Madison data breach or Ashley Madison by any chance?
I've uh yes and no.
Yes and no. What's the yes and what's the no?
Well, you know who Ashley Madison was or is.
I don't know that. I know the platform that one. What that is.
She was a porn star.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah,
okay. I didn't know that.
yeah. She was a madam.
Okay, I definitely did not know that part. I didn't do my research to the name.
Yeah,
Luckily I didn't do the research on that name. I did on the platform.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so so Ashley Madison platform was a. I'm just move forward. So pretty much it was a website. Was a dating website
Mm-hmm.
for affairs.
Yep.
So that I first off, whoever thought of that was crazy. So I was looking through the website. I don't think it's still up. Maybe it's still up. I'm not sure.
It is.
Yeah, well, we've been running for a long time. But pretty much the slogan's life is short, have an affair. I mean, it says on the name. But yeah, I feel like most of these websites that like usually are either trying to get hacked or either anonymous websites are doing this very discreet stuff. So have you known anyone that has used the site? I'm actually curious. I mean, it's discreet enough that so people should be talking about
Yes.
this. But I mean, there was
Yes.
okay. But yeah, you do know someone?
Oh yeah.
Really? Wow.
And unfortunately, the why his wife at the point, not his wife, they someone got in there, got the files, and started trying to blackmail them.
Yeah. Yeah. So probably you're in 2015. I'm not sure when, but like, so this is what happened during like 2015. Someone actually hacked the site and like bled out 25 gigabytes of data of people on the site. They dropped it in the dark web. About 32 million users was like information leaked, and maybe at the time it was what happened. And pretty much they got in, leaked everything, and pretty much they did it once. So like I think it's funny because the scan the what's it called, the hackers actually told the company that yo, we hacked you guys, pay up or we're gonna leak, and then the company was like nah, we don't really care, and they actually just did it. So I think I didn't do research on like the impact of like the people, but I think there were some suicides and divorces definitely occurring after this. So I don't know. I'm actually curious your opinion on this. What do you what's your opinion on like the different dating sites nowadays? I know this was like a really early one back in the day, but I know there's like tons of them opening up. I'm actually curious what like the older generation thinks of dating sites nowadays.
They're believe it or not, I mean, dating sites have a purpose for the right types of individuals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like for example, there are dating sites for people that are senior, exclusively set
Yep.
for seniors, and unfortunately, with the Madison site, it was open. It was designed for affairs. Most of the sites nowadays are for
Relationship building.
long-lasting, type of
Yeah.
relationships. So the scope or the how they are these days have really changed to a more moral state. But
Yeah.
now you have sites like Facebook, which are now Facebook. There are Facebook users that are using Facebook as a way of doing things that I'm not going to say illegal, but not above board.
Mm.
And Facebook is now in a big legal battle over that whole situation.
Who knew? Who knew, right?
Yeah, and on Facebook, Facebook just tries to meet people up, and women got involved in it and started opening Facebook groups that were, let's just say, not 100% above board.
Mm. Was it like affairs, or what was it like?
Yeah,
Uh,
affairs and sharing pictures,
mm.
sharing lewd and absurd pictures on the web. Uh, yeah,
It's
Facebook's in a lot of trouble right now in regards to that.
yeah. I mean, the funny thing is, there's a site made specifically for doing that. Like I don't like. There's OnlyFans. I don't understand why people just go do that versus just doing it on Facebook. It really makes a difference. You know.
Well, they were a lot of these other social sites are wanting to charge a fee for you
Mm.
to engage.
Yeah.
Well, with Facebook, you don't have to pay a fee. And the only time a fee gets involved is you connect with somebody who is um of the opposite gender, and we'll send you some pictures, but in order to do that, we need to. Can you help me defray some of the costs involved and blah blah
Yeah.
blah, and then it gets into a money situation, and
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. I mean, everyone's trying to find. I think it's interesting how the when you put something out to the public, they'll find a way to use your thing a lot differently than you initially intended to. And I think that's kind of the magic of anything that you put out to the world. Let's see. So this one, Fallout, pretty much. This one I thought was actually really interesting. Actually, I didn't know this until I did research in this, but there's a group called the Dark Side.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know them. I'm sure, right? But they sell ransomware as a service. I thought that was I thought that was really interesting. They sell these ransomwares to different companies, and these companies then use the the ransomware to then attack other people. It's,
Well, dark side has two. You're looking at the black or the dark side of dark side.
mm,
Dark side also has a really good side,
it
and
does.
dark side is selling their services to people like your security service, your Nortons,
Yeah,
you know, hey, attack us and check our vulnerability. Banks are
yeah,
using them, hiring them to attack them to make sure that they have the appropriate
mm.
protection schema in place so they're not going to be attacked.
Huh. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I mean, yeah, I guess they just sell ransomware as a service. Either it's good or bad kind of deal.
Yeah,
Some people might use it for horror, but I think that's actually a very genius business model.
actually, DarkSide has a Facebook group where people are talking about the good side and the bad side of DarkSide.
Hmm. Which one is the dark side?
Yeah.
That's cool. But yeah, I mean, this time I think it was against a pipeline,
Mhm.
the Colonial Pipeline back in 2021. I'm sure you've heard of it already, but pretty much like it was a typical like ransomware. They sell it as a like a ransomware as a service. Um, I still think it's interesting how I wasn't sure if it was because the hackers were kind of anonymous. I couldn't find them, but if the people who used the software was I don't think they were part of DarkSide. I think they were a separate entity that bought a service from DarkSide to then hack the pipeline. Um, I let's see. So I mean, this during this time, pretty much they had a phishing email of sorts that went through. Did you hear this case back in 2021?
I don't remember. I've slept since then, so I don't sort of remember.
I see. I think this was during COVID. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, I know dark side. I know dark side, and they are uh, quite well known for
Yeah,
their services.
yeah.
Now, do you know where dark side is located?
I do not. Where is it located?
Russia.
Russia. Wow. I mean, I heard Russia has really good hackers. So interesting. Okay. So let's see. Yeah. So pretty much long and short, they deployed the software into like the pipeline. I mean, it's funny how you would think they would like hack a pipeline network. But pretty much, yeah, like every ransom software, they just wanted Bitcoin in exchange for like their like unblocking their services. But I guess my another question is like, if let's say you pay the Bitcoin out, what's stopping them from just like, hey, I want more money, and to continue the
Nothing.
ransom? Yeah.
Nothing.
So
Nothing. Nothing at all.
yeah, so that's the crazy thing about these ransomwares. Um, Pretty much they shut down the pipeline, I think, for like a short amount of time to stop like the spreading of the malware. Let's see. But one interesting fact that I found out about this, and I wasn't sure how like true it is, was that the people who breached the pipeline stated that like, hey, they're actually really like professional about it. Actually, they're like, hey, this is very financially driven, not politically driven. We didn't expect for it to be politically driven and like have this much effect. We just wanted money. Um, and you know, this is interesting how some people just want money from this rather than like it being like a social impact or whatever, or political impact. So maybe that shines a bit more like the dark side of like we're just trying to make money per se.
Well, dark side maintained basically two two levels. One of the people that actually did the hacking,
Yeah.
and the one that basically worked out the financial arrangements. So,
Hmm. I mean, it's hacking as a service, right?
well, and you, I mean, have not had a situation, but I know a friend of mine whose computer got hacked by for ransomware,
Yeah.
and I know the IT technician who was involved in it took a lot of time for them to resolve the issue.
How's that experience like? It could be pretty terrifying. Like, mm,
It was. I mean, um, and it was a doctor's office, and
oh,
it locked up his entire office,
wow.
and he refused to pay the ransomware, and finally they ended up. I they won't tell me how they did it, but they were able to regenerate his system enough to get him back in business
Mm,
and never paid the ransomware.
wow.
And
That, that
they tried to attack the same company or same group tried to attack him a second time. And
it was more secure second time around.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's funny. I don't think people or businesses really know like how secure their system is until they get hacked.
Well, that's why a lot of big major corporations hire outside companies to
Yeah.
try to hack their resources just to validate um, how good their security or lacks their security is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a good way, you know. So this is probably the last one, the WannaCry ransom software attack. Speaking of, you were on a topic of like regular people getting a ransomware attack. I think this one, I'm not sure you remembered, but this one was a 2017 one. And I think what they did was they actually attacked one of the vulnerabilities in the Microsoft Windows operating system. I think it was through the what's it called, the file sharing systems. So it was able to like, because it was going through the file sharing system, um, it was able to spread really quickly to other computers. Let's see. And pretty much it wasn't something crazy in terms of like the money amount, but I think during that time, typically they infected normal regular users. It wasn't like a big company. Oh, I guess they did infect the Microsoft Windows, but more so infected the users of it. And yeah, pretty much it was like a $300 to $600 ransomware. Wasn't too crazy, but they infected about 230 computers at that time. And I think, let's see, I think it did impact a couple of like healthcare companies as well as like medical services. So I think that's pretty, that I mean that just goes to show how weak that the sometimes the HIPAA, the not HIPAA, but like the medical encryptions are nowadays, and how easy it could get hacked like that. I mean, I think nowadays it's a lot better for healthcare. But let's see. I think that's pretty much it.
Right? So let's test your knowledge.
Okay, I'm not good at this, but let's see.
Okay. Windows just recently went down.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Yes. So I think it was, if I remember correctly, so I sent out an email for this. If I remember correctly, it was because someone, I think, updated something wrong, if I remember correctly, in terms of like I think it was a like what's it called? It was like a blue screen error or something that they updated to a different like file incorrectly.
Nope. Believe it or not, there was a error in a security patch for their security software that caused everything to crash.
Mm.
So the company that was there to protect them
Oh yeah, it's
didn't
First Strike or
bother,
something.
yeah, didn't bother to test everything properly and ended up taking down a whole bunch of companies.
Yeah.
I just thought that was just so funny. Well, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say
It's
funny, but
that
ironical
it is ironical.
that the company that was designed to protect them and all these health organizations was taken down by the company that was there to protect them. So
Yeah, I woke up that morning and like my phone was blowing up because my friend was like, "Hey, this happened. A lot of computers might be going out. Like we should tell our customers or something like that." Because like, oh, it was. I think that was really funny. Same over here. It's like, yeah, it's ironic. That's all. Yeah. Well, this is all I have today. Anything you want to add to it?
no,
Yeah.
I think you did a great job, and a lot of good information was shared. I wish some other people
Yeah.
would have partaked. I mean, it sort of became a you and I conversation.
Yeah.
I'm not going to send you any. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to send you any bitcoins for
Ah.
today's lecture. But
Shucks. No, I think it's funny because a lot of people actually signed up for this. I think the majority of people just look forward to my emails that I send. I send recap emails. I'm sure you see it too. I think most
mhm.
people look forward to that instead of just showing up to this, because I think 10 o'clock on a Tuesday is a bad time for a lot of people. I don't know.
I don't know. For me, I mean, for me, it worked out perfectly. I mean, I looked at my calendar um, I mean, 10 o'clock your time is noon my time.
Yeah,
So this works out really well. I mean, sort of my lunch break a little bit.
yeah. I had
And
people tell it was a bad time, so I'm not sure if it's a bad time or people just like get an email and then reading it afterwards because the emails get open pretty. The open rate for emails are pretty good. So maybe people just like the emails a lot more. So we'll see. We'll see
so
how it
what's
goes.
what's on your agenda for, or have you not thought about your agenda for next week?
I've not thought about my agenda for next week yet. If it's gonna be, I'm still wondering if I want to continue these like live classes. If it's just the two of us. Again, I love talking to you, Daniel. I get it, you know. Um, or I just put more effort into like writing more like written content. Um, to see if like that's what it seems that that's what people like that a lot more. But I don't mind. I don't.
Again, I'm going to suggest to you maybe you might want to send out as one of your emails.
Yeah,
Hey, I'm looking for ideas for context, con, context, content for future presentation. What are your thoughts? What would you like me to cover?
yeah.
And see if you can get any feedback from your email group
Hmm.
on what they would like to see.
Yeah, I'll probably send that out this week, honestly. So when I send my recap, I'll attach like a link. Say, hey, go here. I just want to hear like
I
your
would
thoughts
I
and
would
feedback.
do it not as part of your recap. I would do it as a
Okay.
separate email. I mean, I've been doing, been doing this for a few weeks now, and really would like to get, find out what my users, my group
Yeah.
would like me to cover, and not put it as part of your recap. So, because people see your recap, oh, read through it, and then get to the bottom and see your thing to
Yeah.
do a survey. That
Yeah.
I read an email and I read the top portion of it, and then I
Yep. You
don't
never get
even
to the
bother,
bottom.
and then it's like I had one email this morning, thing was 8 paragraphs long, got to the bottom, saw the thank you, sincerely so and so. And then below his name, I saw there was a PS. By the way, can you fill out this survey
No, they're
about
gonna miss that.
right?
Yeah, I
So
get you.
I would do it as a separate. I mean, if it was me, I would do it
Yeah,
as a separate email.
no, I agree. I agree. I'll send a separate one out after I send the recap one too as
And
well.
make sure that they understand that you are really trying to create the focus for
Hmm.
the particular group.
Yeah.
So you're really looking for topics that people would be interested in attending,
Yeah.
or
Exactly.
hearing about or learning more about, so forth. And maybe even ask what time would they prefer,
That would be good too. That would be good too. Like,
you
okay,
know.
I'll do that. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate
So
that. I'll probably send one out, see what people say.
all right. Well, it's time for me to make some lunch. I don't know what I'm
All
gonna eat, but
right, Danielle. Hey, I
have a
always
good one.
appreciate talking to you though. So enjoy your
Been
week,
a
okay?
pleasure. Have a nice weekend, and
I'll see you next
see
week.
you next week. Have a great day. Thank you
All right.
again.
Bye, Danielle.
Bye bye now.
See.